Now I'm 4 or 5 seconds from wildin', and we got 3 more days till Friday.
What is the deal, beautiful people? It's your boy Ramon, lifestylesdefined.com. Oculus Rift, 3 years in the coming, and it is finally announced. That's a strange thing, right? Because I feel like all the gamers in the entire world knew about Oculus Rift for how long. Started out as a Kickstarter, and it really got this grassroots feedback and love and support from the community, and then it, later went on to be purchased by Facebook, and the expectations and the dream and everything wrapped up around a big company like Facebook went along with it. And some people thought it was the end of the product. People really didn't know how Facebook would treat the product. Facebook has this stigma to it where everything they touch, they change. But, with Oculus, thus far, it seems to be exactly what it was and what it was striving to be from day one. So what do we know about Oculus exactly? The specs are still sparse. I can't find like an article or even on Oculus site the exact specs for these two screens, because that's how they work, right? They're two monitor screens right up against your face, and they're OLED, but I don't know the exact resolution. I don't know what megahertz the processor's running at, and really and truly, I probably didn't look too hard. I could probably find that out if I wanted to, but the reason I didn't is because I don't care, and you shouldn't care either. The thing is, these guys, it took them 3 years and through multiple iterations of the product and a lot of beta testing from the community who bought the dev versions. They got it down. They were able to hone the product and what it's about, what it is, and the technical stuff seems to be there. And according to the presentation, there's no latency, there's no jitter, there's no lag, there's no pixelation. So even in the headset design itself, they even got it where you could adjust just how close or far this thing is to be just comfortable for you. And that's pretty dope. That type of refinery comes from iteration after iteration and listening to feedback. So it's good to see them knock that part of it out of the ballpark. Along with the new design, it came a new tracking system. It's pretty much this thing that you plug into the back of your desktop, you put on your desk or in the room, wherever you're going to be using the Oculus. And it keeps track of the environment and where you are looking and moving with the Oculus. And that's really where the magic happens between the pairing of those two devices. They made it look a little prettier, and it was noteworthy. It didn't look that bad compared to some of the prototypes from before, so that was a win. Also built in is the speakers that they've included in the final design. And I think it's dope that they're there. And what I really like is they went the extra mile and they realized who the consumer was for this guy, who their target was. And they made these speakers removable so you can use your own headsets. Because something tells me that the person who runs out on day one and buys an Oculus Rift already has $200, $300, $400 headsets that they prefer. So it's good to see them put that option in there and really realize who their consumer would be. Adding this one to the list of did not see it coming. The Oculus will ship with, and I'm flipping the news back on purpose and you'll see why. It does ship with a controller, an Xbox One controller most notably, and it is wireless. So that newly announced wireless, the new redesigned controller that Microsoft released for the Xbox One, and the wireless adapter, that's what you get in the box with the Oculus. So if you're thinking about getting that new controller, you're thinking about getting an Oculus, 2 stones with 1 bird, that's a good look. But Phil Spencer, the new hero of the Xbox experience, he was also on the stage, and he announced that much like the Xbox One can stream to any Windows 10 PC or tablet, presumably phone, it can stream the games to the Oculus Rift as well. I thought this was a dope partnership. It's interesting because yes, they put in the work to work. They put in the work to have the Xbox One be able to do things like that. And also, you got to keep in mind that Microsoft's got their augmented reality HoloLens coming soon. And HoloLens is not a virtual reality thing. HoloLens is a glass you put over your face with superimposed information about your environment, so you can still see your environment. Oculus Rift is a completely immersive VR world where you can't see anything around you when you're doing it. So HoloLens could never really be about games in terms of streaming it from your Xbox. This was all Oculus. And it's interesting to see Microsoft team up with Oculus to really capture the best of both worlds. And we're still waiting to see what or how the HoloLens will work with the Xbox. So it's interesting to see that partnership unfold. Not bad at all. They also went the extra mile and developed for lack of a better word, I'd call it an Xbox Live service for the Oculus community. So when you put it on, it's called Oculus Home. When you put it on, you've got this dashboard, this completely virtual reality dashboard. You can see your friends, what your friends are up to. You can see new games, content. And what's dope, I like is, let's say there's a game that just came out and you wanted to play it. They are providing virtual immersive demos to all the games. So I think that's nice to see them really think about the product and go above and beyond. I think that's dope. There's also a bunch of exclusive titles coming from big names like Insomniac and a few other studios. There's an open world game, some platformers. We'll find out more as E3 progresses or goes on or actually happens. But clearly they're taking the gaming part of Oculus seriously. So much so that they announced that they'll be injecting $10 million into the community to sort of spark the indie developers' interest. So you can look, that's a lot of money to divide. So you can look forward to a lot of dope content from indie developers. And I mean, overall, I really like how, you could bet some of that 10 million came from Facebook. But I like how Facebook made sure that the culture, at least for now, is exactly what it was when the dream was imagined and then it was on Kickstarter. I like how they refined the product over time, and it's a dope looking piece of technology. And I wasn't much into the VR thing. I wasn't really sold, but seeing the conference and seeing what they had to offer, I could spend my money on this. Now, it'll be available in Q1 2016. Kind of sucks that we can't get it a little sooner for the holiday seasons, but it is what it is. Is it worth the wait? Yes. The price, we don't know the price, but we can expect it to be somewhere around $300. There's been some grumblings that it'll cost upward of $1,500, but that rumor, that speculation came out of an article that pretty much said, you need a beefy computer to run the Oculus Rift. There are minimum requirements. So they sort of factored in a computer that could compensate for, it could operate within the requirements of the Oculus Rift. So if you didn't already have a gaming PC, you'd be looking at about $1,500 all in. But I think that the crowd for Oculus Rift already has a PC. Like I said, already have their headphones. So this is looking like a dope product for those guys. Would I spend my money, me personally? You guys know me. It depends, because Microsoft is going to be releasing HoloLens presumably before Oculus touches the market. The rumors about HoloLens is we can expect that sometime in the holiday season. So I'm thinking the HoloLens will be about anywhere from $7 to $1,000. Would I spend an extra $300 to to get the entire on my face experience covered, meaning augmented reality and virtual reality. I come home and I what do I want to look like a jackass today? Do I want augmented reality or virtual reality? I might. I might actually. Plus, I think Facebook themselves has to be working on a lot of dopeness around what the Oculus is to really give us an added bit of functionality on top of gaming, especially when you look at what was the name of the controllers? I forgot the controllers they announced today, but there's a fair bit of dopeness with these two. The controls are wireless, the low latency, and they were designed some sort of crazy way in the most comfortable way, and they recognize gestures on your hand, and and they're supposed to be able to simulate like real touch and force feedback and all of these incredible things in a virtual world. That wasn't so much for gaming for me. If it was, they wouldn't have shipped it with an Xbox One controller. I think that's for the dopeness that Facebook is working on, this virtual Facebook world where we can hang out with all our friends. I don't know, that's just me. But anyway, it's your boy Ramon, lifestylesdefined.com. I'm out of here. Peace.